Welcome to episode, what is this, 75?
75.
75 weeks in a row, no miss.
Not too shabby.
I don't know if, the math on that says that's 3/4 of the way to 100. I'm really good.
You were always quick with math.
Second grade math, you bet. I'm on it. Yeah. So.
Tell me about some bees.
Tell you about bees. Let's see. What about the bees? The bees are still alive, which is awesome. Actually, I am in my second week of mite treatment for the spring. It's kind of an organic thing that actually smells like menthol. I don't know. They're probably not happy with me, but anyway, it's a thing you put in the hives like I don't know, kind of almost like this cracker thing, and you put it in the hives, leave it for a week, put a second one in, and leave that for another 7 days, and then they're good for the spring. And then you can put honey supers on. So my bees will start. Up to this point, they've only been growing and making honey for themselves, and after this Sunday, they'll be making honey for me. I hope. I hope.
So those are things that go on top that when they fill the bottom up, they start going up the top, but they don't.
Correct.
They don't need it.
Correct. Yeah, you got to take the excess honey. So what you do is the bottom 2 boxes around Oregon, at least everybody seems to have 2 boxes of brood, and then you can pile up more boxes on top that they will go up and put nectar into. But I will use what's called a queen excluder. So it's basically like a grate that is got holes in it large enough for the worker bees to go through, but not so big that the queen can fit through. So you don't have the queen going up into the top and laying eggs where you want honey. So yeah, works out pretty good. Whoever invented that was a genius, I think.
Cool.
So we'll see. Well, I'm actually going to be gone all next week. So my plan is put them on Sunday and then just leave them be and see what happens in another week. I'll have to crack the top and see if they're filling it up.
Right.
We'll see. It'll be fun. It's exciting.
Well, awesome. And I need to say also thank you. You brought me a basket of canned goods. My boy and I cracked open the grape juice.
Okay.
And we enjoyed it very much.
Awesome.
He kind of looked at it, he's like, is this all right? And I made some crack about, let's hope it hasn't fermented. And then we got into a discussion about how fermentation actually works and how that's not possible.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
No, shouldn't be any bacteria in there. No, it's tasty. We've got some grape vines, I guess, out our back porch, and they kind of grow up over this arbor thing, which is awesome. And like in the late fall, there's just bundles of grapes hanging there. It's awesome. So,
they are very tasty.
I know you've come over and picked them a couple times.
I still have some grape jelly from a couple years ago. We haven't gotten through all our grape jelly yet.
It is amazing how much you could make. You got to be careful about making. What are you going to do? What you do is you get some friends to come over and take them from you, and then you smile when 2 years later they're like, "Gosh, I still can't get through all this grape jelly."
I still have grape jelly. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually planted 8 more grapes, ironically, because that's from two grape vines, but they're massive. I have no idea how old they are. Like, the bottoms of them are probably 4 inches around, maybe, or not around, but 4 inches in diameter.
Right.
I don't know, pretty big for grape vines, and they grow crazy. But I planted 8 more this spring out in another place where I could, I don't know. There are other table grapes that I know what they are, because these ones back here are mystery grapes. They taste fine, but I have no idea what they are. Anyway, well, funny. Now you got me on grapes. Okay, it's all good.
You're an easily to distract.
I am very easily distracted. I have a lot of interests, let's say.
Well, that's good.
It is good. It's good. It's fun. So let's see. What do we got for follow-up tonight?
Well, we could, I guess the big one that was out in the news this week is more bad news for Intel chips. The Spectre and Meltdown, that was a year-ish ago, I think, right?
It was January of 18. Yep.
Yeah. So there are some new attacks, and I just don't understand enough about them, and that's why I threw this one mostly just in follow-up, that if you wanted to read more and haven't seen the news yet about RIDL and Fallout, two other MDS microarchitectural data sampling side channel vulnerabilities. You can go read all about that. The key point to the one that I thought was interesting, or the statement in here that I thought was interesting, was that I'll just read it. It says, ironically, the recent hardware countermeasures introduced by Intel in the recent Coffee Lake refresh to prevent meltdown make them more vulnerable to Fallout compared to older generation hardware. So it's whack-a-mole. You smash one and up pops another.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Exactly. So
yeah.
Anywho, it's massive amount of data.
There's the saying, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It's hard to imagine a world in which there's no possibility of side effects, because that's really what these things are looking for is,
right.
Side effects. Okay, that's cool. I did see, I saw two other articles at least two other articles. I'm sure there were many, but there was a kind of a popular culture Wired one that talked about it. And then I also saw one by Capsulate that was pretty good. But I sort of agree. Maybe we'll talk about it more next week if I have a chance to read in, or you have a chance to dig in a little bit more. But I would agree with follow-up. Consider that as follow-up from Meltdown.
There you go. Next.
Okay, let's see. I had two other pieces of follow-up. The first was a couple of episodes ago. I didn't actually look up the episode number, but I mentioned Artifactory. And then literally, I think it was the next day, GitHub went and announced a feature called the GitHub Package Registry, which is going to do a lot, at least, of what. Well, maybe I shouldn't say all of what Artifactory does, because Artifactory is kind of a general repository of any binary. But one of the features of Artifactory is that you can have a Docker repo, npm,
right,
registry, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they look like they are going to support out of the box npm, Docker, Maven, NuGet, and Ruby. And I don't know. The one thing on there that is little out of place for me, at least, would be NuGet. But since Microsoft bought Docker, I guess they have
bought GitHub
ability to control. Yeah. We want the C# package manager.
Right.
But I mean, who knows? Maybe C#'s more popular than I know. I don't know. It doesn't come up on my radar that much, but
no, says the guy who runs a Mac.
I can't imagine why that is. Yeah.
I have some ideas.
Oh, yeah. All right. My second piece of follow-up was in episode 69, one of my topics was about that article by Phil Hack about package signing. Oh, yeah. Both of these follow-ups are about packages. I just realized that. Anyway, but this week he released his second sort of follow-up article that said what his proposed solution was for better support of, or better ability to trust signatures in arbitrary repos. And I didn't know where he was going to go, before he he released this, and I guess this makes a little bit of sense. I still don't think it's a great solution, but it is a solution that has that can be done at really low cost, I guess. But anyway, it is basically a use of social proofs as your trust mechanism. So basically, if the person signing the package has other areas of their life where you can prove that they are that person, then you can increase your amount of trust of them. So this is essentially using, and he used keybase.io in his article for, demonstrating that, this person, in this case, hacked on Twitter, is also hacked on GitHub, is also hacked on, all these other places. When they sign a repo, you can be pretty sure that that's really them and it's not somebody spoofing them, right? So particularly if one of those places is something that does some form of real-life verification, but, that's not necessarily required. But anyway, that was the follow-up article. We'll put it in the follow-up links here, and that was... It's good.
Cool. Well, let's see. I got two, I would say, smaller topics, and they're both IoT-ish, I suppose. Well, no. Yeah.
IoT-ish. Okay.
They're both. So devices as opposed to, if you're a company and you have a product, one thing you probably don't want to say is that your product is unhackable.
Are we back to the whole Adhar thing?
Pretty close. So this one is a USB disk called iDisk. And here was the company statement. With iDisk, you never need to worry about losing your USB or the vulnerability of your data stored in it. iDisk features AES 256-bit encryption for your iris pattern. We developed our own iris recognition algorithm so that no one can hack your USB drive, even if they have your iris pattern. Your personal iris data used for identification will never be retrieved or duplicated, even if your USB is lost. So right there, that says, hey, I'm going to see if I can go figure this out. So pen test partners, they do pen testing. They went through and started digging around, and the article is great. It's very long. You got to read through the whole article. They have lots of charts and data and information about what they do. I'll just pull out a couple items I thought were fun. As they examined the hardware, they came to the conclusion that basically it's a USB stick with a hub and a camera attached, which means most of what it does is in software. It's not in hardware. And so they kind of go through in great detail about how they sniffed the USB and looking for what's going on in the USB communication. And there's one point where they discovered that there is a string passed in plain text in the USB communication that happens to also be the password.
Oh, between the hub and the storage,
right?
So camera,
right? So there's
the hash is essentially the quote unquote iris password,
and yes, and then there's a password of
brutal.
So anyways, it's this unhackable device unlocks the volume by sending the password through in clear text if you know how to sniff a USB traffic. So,
and having sniffed it once, there you go.
Yep. So really all you have to do is call your thing unhackable, and that'll just pretty much guarantee it will be hacked.
It's like a red flag to a bull.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, it was an interesting article if you like the details of how to do USB sniffing and how you might go about figuring out how to go after a device such as this. So great detail if you're interested in that. Go check out that article.
That's cool. That's a good one.
And the second one I just thought was funny because it was, well, maybe funny is the wrong word. The second one I thought was, yeah, I guess we'll go with funny.
Is this an over-the-air hardware upgrade?
So it has to do with law enforcement, and they have ankle monitors for criminals that they're okay with letting out on house arrest, but they need, they don't want to keep them in prison, so they let them out with an ankle bracelet so they can be tracked wherever they need to go. Apparently there was an update that was faulty that was pushed out to all these ankle monitors that stopped the ankle monitors from broadcasting and sharing their location with the Justice Department. This is in the Netherlands. So, they were able to fix the issue.
Everything is software.
Yes, everything was software. And they were able to fix the issue, but of course the police had to go jump in and preemptively arrest and jail some of the more high-risk people that were on ankle monitors in case they tried to escape. So software is everywhere. And software failures can affect even the strangest of places that you can think of.
Wow.
Anyways.
Those
are my two a little bit lighter articles.
That reminds me of what movie was it? There was one of the Avenger movies that had the ankle monitor. Oh, was it Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Yeah. Yeah, was it?
I think that was
Ant-Man and the Wasp or Ant-Man?
I think it was the one that was after Civil War. Anyway. Okay. I gotta rewatch that movie.
Yeah. So yeah, he had the ankle bracelet, and his foot falls through the fence, playing in the yard, and all of a sudden they all come running in.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Software has done eaten the world. It's just working on digesting it, I think, maybe.
Next up.
Okay. Yeah. My yes. Enough of that. My topic. Sorry, I've got a cat on my lap that is really being annoying. My topic is actually an article from ZDNet about SHA-1 Collision Attacks being now or nearly practical. And when I first read this, I was like, oh, man, no way, they didn't. And actually, they truly didn't. So I guess the thing here, they haven't actually successfully done a what's known as a chosen prefix collision attack, but they have a hypothetical solution that they believe will come in at under $100,000. So what is this? So I should roll back a little bit. Hash functions are what we use to have a small representation of a larger chunk of data, right? So you hash a block of text or a document or something else, and one of the properties of a hash is that small changes to the input produce large changes of the output, so that and it's not reversible. So you can't take the hash and then be able to derive the input from it. But one of the other, one of the things is that, since a hash function may have a small number, it has a smaller number of bytes than any of the inputs, there are, arbitrarily many inputs that can hash to the same value. But finding two things whose hash matches is computationally infeasible generally. And basically finding a hash collision is finding ways that you can, choose data that will, collide at your choosing. And in this case, having a chosen prefix collision. So let me see. So SHA-1 was theoretically broken in 2005, but that was basically on paper. And it took 12 years after that before the first successful attack was carried out, which was by some academics from, let's see, this says Google and CWI. I don't remember what CWI is, which produced 2 files that had the same SHA-1 hash in the world's first ever SHA-1 collision attack. So, and it basically, so that was an attack known as SHA-turd, because SHA-251 or SHA-1. So
along with the website shattered.io, you got to have a website. Of course,
every attack these days has a website and a fancy name. But so the that was not a chosen prefix attack, though, which is hypothetically would take a lot more. In fact, they were saying in this article more than $1 million estimated of computing hardware to do it. But anyway, like I said, this with the big caveat that really halfway through the article they basically say they're not done yet. So they are. This is the quote here. We're currently working on further improvements, unpublished. And we evaluate now that one can find a chosen prefix collision for SHA-1 with a budget of less than $100,000, which is really practical. So, $100,000 seems like a lot of money to me, of course, and I'm sure to you as well. But for some entities, and certainly entities that have a lot of computing hardware at their disposal, that's not an unreasonable amount of money to break
because $100,000 in hardware today is $10,000 a couple of years from now, and $1,000 a couple of years from there. So
exactly right. So this was the I thought it was actually done. So I was a little disappointed when I got through halfway through the article and I realized they're only claiming that they've got it. But let's wait for. I presume they've got some nice instances running in AWS at the moment, and so let's wait for the actual results. But we'll see. Basically says it ends the being quoted ends with hopefully we'll be able to announce new results soon. I don't know. So why would you announce stuff prematurely? Just wait another month or however long it's going to take to run.
Maybe they were worried somebody else was going to,
get the
steal
jump
their
on
thunder.
Yeah, maybe, but whatever. Okay.
So MD5 went down a number of years ago, and now SHA-1 is on the verge of going down. So
down. Yep. Mm-hmm. So anyway, all right. Well, that was my topic for the night. I thought that was a good one.
Cool.
Got something. I have something funs just to presage that. You got something fun for me?
So my something fun is, I don't know necessarily how fun it is, but this article I saw, I have always heard and believed that if you want to learn a foreign language, the earlier in life you start to learn it, the easier it is. Right? Yeah. I don't know. Have you heard the same kind of thing?
Yeah, all the time.
Right. So, and they talk about, brain plasticity and other things about how younger kids can pick up language much faster. And I suppose there's some truth to that. But I found an article about some MIT scientists that proved that adults can learn language to fluency nearly as well as children. So the gist of the article was it's not necessarily that kids can learn it that much better than adults or faster than you can as an adult. The issue probably is more not that the older you are, you can't. It's You just don't have the same amount of time and opportunity to spend trying to learn a different language. So there's a lot of charts and facts and information. And if you've ever wondered about why, it's said that it's harder for adults to learn a foreign language than when you are as a kid, this kind of debunks it. And the article actually kind of starts out with how a number of organizations took this research and drew the wrong conclusions and wrote articles about why it's so hard for adults and why children it's actually easier, which is kind of the opposite. This article is trying to point out that it's kind of the opposite
of what they actually found.
Yeah, what they actually found. But I also, I guess, probably should also preface this with the guy who wrote this article is the CEO of an online language learning company. So he has a vested interest in, kind of debunking this. But it's a well thought out and well read, and I did enjoy the article about, with all the stats and data and everything. But there is a bit of a bias, I would
was
say.
Was there data referenced, or was it all anecdotal?
No, it's all referenced with charts and years of experience and different here, there, and yonder. So yeah, you read through the whole article. Some of it, maybe I suppose you could say, is taking some. I wouldn't want to say liberties, but
no.
Taking some of the facts
you
and
used the
augmenting
word plasticity a minute ago.
So that is one of the highlights of the article. Is it's highly possible. I'll just read it out. It's highly possible that this learning difference by age is not due to some magic change in brain plasticity, but simply that adults don't have as much time to be exposed as children and often hit a point where it stops being helpful to improve after a while. They become totally fluent at this slower pace, and reaching native level mastery provides little additional advantage. Maybe it's not that it's harder for older learners or that they're not capable. Maybe it's just that they don't have the same opportunity. So speaking as someone who got dropped into Spain with just high school Spanish and then spent a couple years in Spain, you learn to pick up the language pretty quick, because if you don't, you're not communicating with people.
You're sinking. That's right. Throw the child into the deep end philosophy of swim lessons.
Exactly. And I like this too, because my oldest daughter, who is currently in Japan, loves languages, and so she's fluent, I shouldn't say. She's at least conversational in Spanish and conversational and can read and write Japanese. And she wants to learn more languages. She's just fascinated with this idea of language and being able to communicate. So we'll see. And she's in college, so she's over the little I'm a kid threshold, but anyways,
that's cool.
That's my something fun.
I would say I would say that qualifies as fun. I'll give you the check mark. There you go. All right, now the question is: Are mine fun? I don't know. I chose them because I think they are, but actually, it's ironic because both of my things tonight are kind of biological in nature, and I am the guy that took nothing but physics and chemistry classes. I didn't take a biology class in high school or college.
But you filled the gap by marrying a biologist.
I did marry a biologist. Yes. Shirley's degrees in biology and did her grad work in plant forest ecology. So yeah, she likes living things. I tend to I guess dead things.
Synthetic things.
Synthetic. Thank you. That's much better. All right. What's my something fun? So the first one is that the ISS has an algae bioreactor. So this is This is an article that has the picture was what I saw that I was like, ooh, that's cool. But this has what do they call it? Actually, here, I'll read this. It says, known as the photobioreactor, this German-made experiment commenced just this week, which means it's already out there in orbit, converting astronaut breath and sunlight to oxygen and food. So this is basically using algae to generate air and food locally. And, this is the trope of science fiction since time immemorial, right? Well,
right.
At least the 50s.
The only way to do deep space travel is you need some way to get something else to generate air.
Right. Yeah, you have to kind of grow your own, and algae's a really good efficient mechanism. Certainly more than sorry, I've got tomatoes and peppers and stuff planted out there, but. So this is known as the Advanced Closed Loop System. So, maybe I'm missing that. So it says, and so it will continue for 6 more months, providing breathable air alongside an air recycling backup known as the Advanced Closed Loop System. So they're only using it to generate oxygen at the moment. Let's see. It says that the researchers estimate that this could produce 30% of the astronauts' daily food intake if they were willing to eat it. If they were willing to eat the high protein edible biomass. But again, like you said, I mean, if you're on Mars, yeah, you're probably willing to eat whatever it takes to kind of keep the body
not
going.
Die.
Yeah. The other comment on this, and then I'll go to the next one, was that it was a comment that said, of course, the use of these systems is primarily interesting for planetary bases or very long missions. So, right, something that you want, you need it to basically be essentially a permanent installation.
Right.
So
you
very
need to
cool.
Recreate Earth in a really tiny space.
Yeah. So let's see what I was just going to say one more thing about that, but I've already forgotten it. So I'm just glad to see that, we're actually developing this kind of stuff. Although I saw a comment that said, if only we had a rotating habitable biosphere that we could take care of. Which, was kind of a reference to the planet. But anyway, so my second topic was, I guess maybe not related, but only related in the fact that it's microbes. So this is a article in the New York Times that says that scientists have created a living organism whose DNA is entirely human-made. So they've been working on synthetic life for a while, but this one has a synthetic genome 4 times larger and far more complex, it says, than any previously created. So there was a team a few years ago that did something that had a million base pairs, and this has 4 million. So, and it lives and reproduces. So, and it's an entirely synthetic genome. So here's a couple of things that I pulled out of this. So they used E. coli as the base, but let's see. This says I learned a little bit of stuff here. I'm sure Shirley knows all this stuff about codons and amino acids and all this other stuff, but I'm just curious. So it says, because life universally uses 64 codons. I didn't know that. And a codon is a triplet or a tuple of the DNA. What are they called? The T,
Strand.
G, C.
Oh,
right.
Right. base pairs or
base
whatever
pairs.
they are.
So because life universally uses 64 codons, we really didn't have an answer. This is to how complex or how simple life could actually be. So he set out to create an organism that could shed some light on the question. So after some preliminary experiments, they designed a modified version of E. coli that on the computer, so simulation, that only required 61 codons to produce all the amino acids the organism needed. So instead of requiring 6 codons to make serine, the genome used just 4, and it had 2 stop codons, not 3, which is what tells it to stop making a protein. So they basically snip these into E. coli until there's nothing, of the original E. coli left. And it says, much to their relief, the altered E. coli did not die. The bacteria grow much more slowly than regular E. coli and develop longer rod-shaped cells, but they're very much alive. So they want to build on this by removing more codons and compressing the genetic coding even further to see how simple or streamlined the genetic code can be while still supporting life. Because there's lots of duplicates in our DNA and every animal's DNA that we don't really understand why they're duplicated. But if they can make it simpler and simpler synthetically, anyway, I thought this was an interesting article. Check it out.
I wish I had something to say about that. I don't know anything about biology either.
Well, I'm not trying to sound smart about it. I just think it's cool.
That is cool that you now have complete synthetic life that is reproducing.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right, dude.
Call it an episode.
Sounds good.
All right. Have a good night, Eric. I'll talk to you later.
See you, John.
All right. Bye.
Bye.